In this episode, we infiltrate an abandoned underground airbase.
My name is Legatus. These are my adventures.
This is part 2 of the abandoned underground airbase video. To get the full story, I recommend watching the other video first. Chapter 5 Hidden Passage. Oh look, there's the Uber I called. It will drive me to my next objective. No, not really. Until 30 years ago, this facility was top secret. The guards had orders to shoot on sight. In practice, however, unauthorized personnel was simply turned away. The underground base had its own water supply, own power plant with diesel generators, an infirmary and crew quarters. The mess hall is said to be able to serve 1,000 people at the same time. There was enough ammunition, food and fuel to keep the facility running for 30 days without replenishment. We just entered the Fighter Regiment Command. Right now, there's not much left, but in the past, this room was used to coordinate the 3 squadrons of fighter jets stationed within the tunnels. We talk about 2 squadrons of MiG-21s used for combat missions, and 1 squadron of MiG-21R tasked with reconnaissance. My sources don't quite agree on how many jets were based there. It is said to have been between 60 and 80. Parked outside the facility were additional aircraft that didn't fit into the tunnels. Good to know that even military projects costing billions of dollars have the same problem as the average person with his garage. This strange room has no annotation on my map. Let's see if we can figure out its purpose.
Must be climate control. This could be a sand filter.
And that's why you do voiceovers.
An air shaft. Or an emergency exit. Maybe both.
Next time, I bring a bike.
This place is huge. Chapter 6 In Memory. Ah, yes. This is our next objective. This memorial shrine was built in honor of 2 explorers. members of the team that did tons of research on this place and other locations in the area. One of them was known by the name that you can read here. Thank you. May you never be forgotten. Shortly after, I found this.
Gate 1, I presume.
I mean, Gate 1, as in Gate 3. I've planned something special for this place.
Blaze of Glory Protocol invoked.
Let's have a closer look at Gate 3. Fun fact: even if the gates somehow imply it, the planes didn't take off directly from the cavern, Battlestar Galactica style. In fact, this was repeatedly implied whenever certain publications from the armed forces called it an underground airbase. The intention was to give the impression that the planes were taking off shooting directly from the mountain. That is, Battlestar Galactica style. Whoops.
Don't worry, I would warn you before you would do something stupid. On a completely unrelated topic, have you bought me these very expensive upgrades yet?
The fact that someone marked this fuel line with fresh tape irritates me a bit. Let's see what's back there. Oh great, even bigger fuel lines. Don't worry, after what happened here, I don't think there's anything left that could burn. That's a public bathroom. Literally. After some sightseeing, I realized something. I don't know anymore where I am. I got lost. Yes, I have a map, but I lost track of my location. Nevertheless, I have a vague idea about where I am and where I need to go. I'm looking for something very specific. Ah, yes. Here we go. Chapter 7. The Star.
Sorry.
Huh. I thought I saw somebody. Again. This is it. The heart of the facility. It's called the Star, for obvious reasons. We are here, right at the entrance. The Star contains different rooms with a multitude of functions. Let's go and see them. At this point, I'm sure you're all dying to know why a multi-billion-dollar airbase is in ruins when it was active just 30 years ago. In 1991, a big war shattered a multi-ethnic communist state into the smaller shards we know today. This base had a high strategic value, therefore it was defended by troops loyal to the government of that state. That is, until 1992. In April of that year, the army withdrew from the airfield and blew up the runways. However, they did not want to give up the underground airbase itself. After all, it is a heavily fortified stronghold. So they handed it over to a friendly puppet state to watch over it. More on that later. This is the canteen, which supposedly could serve up to 1,000 people. The kitchen was also located here.
The mess hall really is a mess.
I had imagined it much bigger. But probably the people stationed here ate in shifts. What you hear crunching are old rolls of film. I have to say that this is the most interesting room for me. It's the classroom of the reconnaissance squadron that was stationed here. Apparently, large amounts of photos were stored here, which were recorded from the fighter jets. Someone tried to get some of the roles developed at the university, but unfortunately without success. There are also a lot of documents lying around here. I assume someone would have put them away if they would contain something secret. So I will show them unblurred. This is the center of the Star. It also acts as an air conditioning chamber for this section. It's in danger of collapsing. But since it's in danger of collapsing since 30 years, I should be fine. Back to the story about the facility's destruction. The troops of the puppet state soon came to the conclusion that they could not hold the position. So, they decided to destroy the tunnel system and mine the surrounding areas. Well, you're probably wondering, how do you blow up a facility that can withstand a 20 kiloton nuclear explosion? not with a bigger bomb, but I like how you think. They filled the entire base with 56 tons of explosives right up to the top, closed the gates, and then lit the fuse. It is said that the detonations lasted for over 2 hours. The explosions that followed were so powerful that they shook the nearby town for 2 days. According to the residents, smoke was said to have come out of the tunnels 6 months after the destruction. I'm sure you remember the big hole in the blast gate right when we entered the underground facility. 60 centimeters of reinforced concrete, bent outwards by the force of that explosion. Please be aware that information about the exact purpose of the rooms in the star is hard to come by. So, please consider the information I provide here as an educated guess that I pieced together from multiple sources. This appears to have been a multi-purpose room. According to my information, the LORAP technicians were located here. LORAP stands for Long Range Aerial Panoramic Photographic System. Also, the encryption and decryption of messages seems to have been done here. But as you can see, the place has been demolished, and there's not much left. Behold, we're entering the Communications and Data Interception Center. Its designation translates to the ear. That's another case of they did this for obvious reasons. It stands to reason that radio communications with other military installations in the country took place from here. Earlier, I mentioned that the nationwide radar network was integrated and coordinated in this facility. I suspect that the information gathering part in the name of this room was related to said radar information. This is not according to German work safety guidelines. They are missing a wear a helmet sticker. If I read this correctly, this book is about legal questions? Interesting. This is titled as a storage record card. And so are these. I'm not sure whether or not this contains personal information, so I blur it. If I read this map correctly, and there is definitely room for interpretation, then this place was the morgue. This is the command center. Here, the situation picture was put together, decisions were made, and orders were given. I assume that in the event of a nuclear attack, the nation's military would have been coordinated from here. This may have been part of a parachute. It's an educated guess, because we're entering the aerial warehouse. This is where they stored the parachutes. If I'm not mistaken, The dark coloring of the wall is a remnant of the explosion. It's empty. All complimentary memorial parachutes are already taken. Alright, last room. There used to be offices, including the classrooms of the fighter pilots. But now there's nothing left but a big ventilation pipe. Yes, this is the most exciting thing that happened here. Which is fine, because I'm in here for hours and I'm starting to get really tired. Chapter 8. Contact. Alright, I've seen what I wanted to see. Let's make some pictures and then head back to the exit. But first, let's enjoy the absolute silence. Yeah, don't mind my Darth Vader impression. I think I've heard something. Let's double time it, just to be sure. I hang around, minding my own business, when suddenly...
I can hear the strange sound again on the ground.
And as suddenly as it came, it's gone again. Or is it? With the horde arriving, it's time for me to go. Because whenever tourists arrive, the place is too mainstream to be cool. Ooh. Thank you for joining me on this adventure. But before we leave, there's one other thing we have to do. A few days later. This is Sidekick. He gives me a final radiation check. He's also joining me on some of my future adventures.
Scheint Umgebung zu sein, ne? Sehr gut, freue ich mich. Danke.
But that's a story for another time. Until then.
Stay tuned.
You've got to be kidding me. It's everywhere.